Coming off of that game versus Roma in the Coppa Italia, it felt a little too good to be true. We saw a positive performance versus Inter in the previous match, and in this game, this would be the first one to see our two biggest names that we brought in from the winter transfer market play. Joao Felix gets on the score sheet in his first game in great fashion by chipping the Roma goalkeeper Svilar, and it's a great assist from Santi Gimenez as well. And when both of them came on, you saw the instant impact that they made, and from that point on, the fans fell in love. Joao Felix offering something that we really haven't seen in a while, a proper number 10 who's creative on that half turn, can link up play with everybody on the pitch, dropping deep as well, and also making runs past the striker at certain points as well. And Santi too had a great cameo, obviously getting that assist, but we'll get into him more in that Empoli match for obvious reasons. And this game was actually a fun one to watch. Milan was in control for large parts of the game, and it felt like Roma were never really threatening us at all in this match, but the defense was brilliant. Kyle Walker putting on another stellar performance at right back, and how relieving is it, guys, to have a guy like Kyle Walker to be competent at right back, not only being reliable on his side of things, but also to kind of organize the defense and being a real mentor to Tomori, having kind of that English connection. And of course, we'll get on to Tomori later, of course, but Pavlovic having a nice game as well, which is great to see. And Theo Hernandez having a performance worthy to be mentioned because he got 2 assists for those 2 Tammy goals. So big shout out to Theo Hernandez. And overall, just a solid game versus Roma. But I will say this, I think the fan base is getting a little too carried away with how this game kind of turned out. And yes, it was a great result. And yes, it was a great performance in terms of the football side of things. But saying that we're back is a bit much because of how we started this game versus Empoli. And that first half versus Empoli was underwhelming. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little worried how we would assert ourselves in this game just because of how lifeless we were in that attacking phase. And once we saw Pulisic, Santi, and Leao come in, we saw an instant impact. And especially after that red card, I was wondering how we would react. And Conceição said this: I could have taken off an attacker to put on a defender, but I took a risk. And that risk played off. And I like how Conceição was reading the game in the sense to trust his players to kind of see at first how the players themselves would react to this red card. And you kind of knew that at one point in the game we would take the lead based on how things were going on in the match, but we were down a man for around 10 minutes. I thought it was a bit strange that they didn't show a replay to see if that Empoli attacker was offside, but I'm going to take a good guess and say that the Empoli player was onside. Otherwise, obviously, I think they would have rescinded it. But this is the Tomori that we always knew, and he showed how erratic he can be. And in my opinion, with this challenge, this is something that we've always seen from Tomori. And this was not a good look, and especially on a yellow card already, this was a silly challenge to make. And I'm just going to give him a slap on the wrist just because of how great he's been in these last 2 games, right? In the derby, he was sensational. And against Roma, I thought he was actually pretty good as well. So I'm going to give Tomori the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to give him a pass on this one. But Rafa gives us the lead with a very rare header, floating cross into the back post from Christian Pulisic, who delivers the ball in the area, and Pulisic just had his fingerprints all over this game once he came in as a sub, being crucial in all things offensive in this game versus Empoli. He was at the forefront of our second goal, and it's Santi Gimenez, that American to Mexican link. These guys are going to feed generations, and Santi to score his first goal in Serie A in his first game, but not only that, to be the first Mexican to score in Milan. So big up to him. But this was just a pure striker's instinct to have a shot from there, and at that angle as well that he took the goal with. It's a left footer's dream, coming from a left footer myself, and he just curled it into that left side beautifully. And this team has been missing a striker with traits like Santi, a player who has only one thing on his mind, and that's to get into the right area to score goals and have a shot instead of passing. And how many times did we see Tammy in this game be indecisive in front of goal, not really being clinical enough? And same thing with Morata in loads of other games. There's that one video circulating around Twitter of the 125th anniversary game, and it's the exact same angle where Santi scored. instead of Morata scoring, he just puts it right over the crossbars. This might be a little early in saying this, but Santi seems a lot more clinical and has that eye for goal rather than trying to make it look pretty, which we've been missing in a player, in a striker specifically. And the last true 9 I can really think about that had similar traits to Santi was Piontek, right? That last half of that season where Piontek was just banging in goals. I think we were all sold a dream with Piontek, but it really seems like Santi kind of has that eye for goal to be in those right areas, to be a reference point at that striker position. I've been saying that we've needed a reference point at that number 9 spot because you saw Morata would always drop deep. Same thing with Tammy, he would drop way too deep, and Santi was there, right? So Pulisic can kind of pass to him, and Santi made the overlapping run. So really great from Santi. And after that goal, the game seemed pretty done and dusted. Apart from that one Joao Felix chance that he missed, I think he was a little bit too casual. I think he should have just kind of put it past the goalkeeper. But I thought one player that was really frustrating in my opinion was Yunus Musa. And I'm starting to see why the fan base gets annoyed with him, because he makes a good move by dribbling out of trouble, and he just holds the ball way too long and then he loses possession for Milan. But again, this is why Musa is a rotation player in these types of games, to offer that balance and that physicality. But I think it's just a matter of time for Yunus Musa to get a hold on what he can do best. But overall, this was a solid game from Milan, controlled in all fronts. I think that we played well with 10 men for that 10 minutes, and we kept a clean sheet as well, which is a huge takeaway in this game. I believe this is Conceicão's first clean sheet for Milan. All the players looked comfortable in their roles, and we saw a lot of progressive things from both ends of the pitch. We keep the game under control on our terms. Now I think we're really starting to see this Milan team look like a well-oiled machine with the ideas that Conceição is bringing to the table. And I think it's just a question of how good can this team look like when all of our top players are playing from minute number 1? And I think we'll see all of our top players play from minute 1 versus Feyenoord in the Champions League on Wednesday. Leao, Pulisic, and Santi were all starting on the bench versus Roma and Empoli. And I know I've said my piece about our season in the Champions League, it being over and everything, but I still think it is. And yes, we could win versus Feyenoord, and it's a 2-leg game, but we also have to play Juventus or PSV, and we'll just have to kind of see where it goes at that point, because I'm really concerned about that first half versus Empoli. And I know Santi didn't start in that one. I know Tammy Abraham started, but we were lifeless and uninspiring. So that kind of makes me concerned about a more talented team like Feyenoord to kind of take their chances instead of Empoli, because Empoli in this match had their chances as well, right? Colombo hit the crossbar, and there were a couple other shaky moments as well. And I feel like, yes, we did get Feyenoord's best player, more clinical player, but who knows what can happen in this game. So I am a little bit concerned, especially because this is an away game as well. So I think we're just going to have to wait and see, roll the dice, and kind of see if we can get lucky. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Get involved, and what do you guys think about the Roma game, the Empoli game, and our chances in the Champions League versus Feyenoord? And let me know what you guys think about Joao Felix and Santi Gimenez. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Vincenzo, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao ragazzi.